Yeah, already. Take it away.
They gave me that opportunity to support myself from being on the streets.
What I want to do is start a pay it forward, pay for the next person.
Wow, that is very awesome.
All right, so um, I want to start off with uh, asking how many of you guys recognize this company? How many guys interact with this company? Maybe recalling the fact that you've stayed in the drive-through lines to grab a cup of a signature drink or perhaps just regular coffee. Recalling the smell of roasting, the Tuscany smell of coffee itself, and maybe recalling the area and the cafe and how the ambiance is of Starbucks. If you're recognizing any of these, moments that you've interacted with Starbucks, you have already started understanding the concept of branding. You understand how what it means to be branded. Most of us, if you know, if you own a business or if you know somebody that owns a business, they talk about concepts of brand product, or brand influencer, brand ambassador, to be branded. So I mean, idea is, what does it mean, right? What it what does it mean to be branded, and why is it so important, and the value that we have in today's market. um, and hopefully after seeing this presentation, you might have some ideas on how to maybe apply that towards your business or towards us, and maybe share these ideas with someone you know. So when we talk about branding, and the French say it really beautifully, c'est un brand. This is not a brand. And I want to go backwards a little, right? And I want to help understand what is not a brand. So trademark logos are not a brand, okay? They're part of what we want to call a brand system, but they're not a brand. We have symbols, we have trademarks, we have monograms. Monograms are something like H&M, you see on the bottom. A trademark, these are all trademarks, right? A symbol is something like a Nike's logo, right? And the IBM logo is also considered a symbol, but that's kind of like a gray area. Then we go into corporate logos like Chase, and then we come into like product-based logos, which is kind of like usually what you see in cosmetics or any healthcare-based, product-based logos. But they're not, a product is also not a brand, right? It is part, again, of that system, but it's not a brand. These are all parts of branding, but none of these are what define a brand. And this is a very intangible concept, right? And coming back to that core, right, of what is a brand, right? Defining that concept again. A brand is a person's gut feeling about the product, service, or company. It is what you want the audience or your client or anyone that could be a potential user to interact with your company and what you represent. This is a very basic concept of what a brand is. Again, an intangible concept. And this is, in my opinion, one of the most right now popular brands when we think about products, and a well done brand, in my opinion, is Honest, the company Honest, and it's founded by Jessica Alba. And for when we talk about brand messages, right? Hers is the most easiest, obvious message presented. And since day one, it's been my goal to build a diverse, inclusive, and ethical company based on values of transparency, trust, sustainability, and deep sense of purpose in all we do. This is beautifully said. And this is really, really very clear-cut message that she has here. And it's really shown through everything that they do, is the fact that they don't use chemicals. They are all about sustainable products and clean environment, and they want to showcase you exactly what is, when you use their products, what is in their what is in that product itself. And it is really an honest company when they do that. And this is really difficult to do, to showcase all of this at one in one umbrella itself. So as far as a brand message goes, I think they do it really, really well. And again, this comes back to that same concept. Well, what is a brand, right? The gut feeling that they have about that product, service, or the company. And that is what they want to communicate. They want to communicate that transparency with their clients. And we are, as consumers and just people in general, we are surrounded by brands, from large corporations to small businesses, even local businesses itself. We depend on brands, and people love brands, no matter which one, what you buy or who you buy from. People love brands. We're surrounded by them, and there's a sense of loyalty towards these brands, whether you are a local coffee shop or a grocery store, farmer's market even, or somebody who's as big as Walmart and Myers and Target. It doesn't matter the size and the scale you have, right? Perhaps you're starting your business tomorrow, and you are a startup company, and you're just in the groundwork of everything. You will still think about how you want your clients to perceive you when you're out there with your competitors. Whereas the Fortune 500 company, they still talk about, market research, and they still talk about how to connect with their audience as well. So this concept is very large scale, and it can range from anywhere between 1 person to 500. The most common and popular one we see all the time is Apple versus Android. We talk about user experience, we talk about functionality values, we talk about, what is better, Apple or Android, and, we talk about product development. But towards the end of the day, it's about a sense of loyalty we have. The person who's been using Apple, is not going to one fine day ditch Apple and start picking up Android, and vice versa. There's a sense of domination when it comes to brands, right? We are driven by that. And it's a very, very, very powerful tool because it allows you to be unique. It allows you to differentiate amongst yourself and your business, in that same industry or in that same market. What do you have? What are you bringing to the table where you have that same thing? One great example, and one might say, hey, these are two different companies, there are two different concepts here. Unilever versus Johnson and Johnson. Unilever has over 400 brands sub-allotted underneath them. And if you see, they're located in 190 countries, and they're about superior performance, and they're all about global presence and economy. They sell, you probably recognize Dove, Persil, and Hellmann's and Knorr. We recognize these brands and their global presence. It's a growing company. Every day they talk about world issues. Whereas Johnson and Johnson, when we look at their history and their way of doing products, they talk about healthcare. They talk about they've been in business over 130 years, and that phrase, if you've heard it, it's a family company. It's a very popular phrase when you hear about Johnson and Johnson, that this is where they start. They have a history. They have that family-oriented values all the way dating back to the American War, and it's very in-depth. And somehow they when we talk about their branding, they maintain that. They give that back. Even during COVID, times of COVID, they talked about how their products are helping you first versus helping on a global, larger scale. Again, two different companies, two different brand values, but bottom line is they want to connect with their customers on a very personal level. They want to connect with their clients on a very personal level. And that is a very strong brand message that they have. And that brings us to the whole overall concept as to why is this so important? Like, why are we so brand focused these days? The main reason is people have a lot of choices out there these days. Whether, let's take a candle, for example, right? You probably go to Bath and Body Works or the candle shop, or even Body Shop. I mean, there are so many places out there. What candle do I want to buy, right? Do I want to buy something based lavender, or do I want something fruity or citrus, or what do I want to buy? People have way too many choices, and that affects the time quality. And obviously, because these companies are so similar in their field, they're offering the same quality and features and product similarities. This one takes away your stress when you burn it. This one provides eucalyptus and lavender. The similarities are really alike, and we as consumers, whether you're selling a service or a product, we trust. Our buying decisions are based off of trust. And we brand designers use this formula, T equals R plus D. And T stands for trust, R stands for reliability, D stands for delight. Delight is a really weird one, I know. But delight is what is the end user's experience? So let's take these two examples right here. We have up in the left-hand corner, we have a burlap sack with a coffee bean and a bee, and you see some kind of line in it, right? But it's not too well defined. You can't see it much. But on the bottom, you have a white bag. You have Battle Creek is written right here in beautiful cursive. Coffee, okay, we see the product, what it is, and we kind of see that it's established in 2019, so fairly recent. But I see the blend, right? It's decaf, and there's some kind of slogan here: second chances made possible by you. Okay, so maybe if I can't relate it to it, but someone else might be able to relate it, but there's some kind of connection they're trying to make here. And we see that it's about 12 ounces. So, okay, so I see the weight and I see that they've written that there. And I also see that it's a, resealable bag. So yes, okay, that's a really good added point when it comes to packaging, that my coffee is going to stay fresh. So they're definitely thinking about that as well. But now I'm in a grocery store, right? I am looking at this beautiful packaging and I see that it's from Colombia. But do I buy Battle Creek coffee or do I buy, the coffee blend that I've been buying all my, since so many months and probably a year, and I feel very comfortable towards that? Or do I want to step outside my comfort zone and buy this Battle Creek coffee? Here's the thing. If a brand is not cohesive, right? If it's not cohesively branded, you're probably not going to remember it, right? The one on the upper left-hand corner, it's probably the best coffee in the world. But if it's not cohesively branded, I'm not going to remember burlap sack and coffee beans unless there's a way unless they're using that to their advantage. I'm probably going to be gravitated towards Battle Creek coffee. I'm not making this decision right now to purchase this. That's okay, and that's completely fine. But if you are well branded, down the line, you're going to remember somehow or the other, oh yeah, I did pick up that Battle Creek coffee. Now that it probably could come up in a conversation with, I don't know, with your siblings or your girlfriend or anyone, and be like, oh yeah, do you remember, right now Battle Creek coffees are really popular and it's really good. Oh yeah, I do remember. I did see it in the grocery store. Next time, you are driven by that choice because it's coming based off of trust. Your judgment is already driven because of that. And that is where reliability and delight comes in. That positive delight that we see is being driven by that. And brands do this. Whether you are buying something as small as coffee, or perhaps a shampoo, or anything. Even if you're a service-based industry, you are in healthcare, or if you're a doctor or a dentist, you guys are, that industry is based off of referrals and word of mouth. Oh yeah, he's such a good dentist. He really took care of my teeth and he really made them great. If you are a babysitter, you'd be surprised how many, even individuals need something like that, or a dog walker. They need recommendations as well. Again, it's about how you are perceived with your target audience. So that brings us to, how do you achieve this? How do you achieve a branding, right? And bottom line is, it's a group effort. It's a team effort here. It really does take a village to build a brand. It's not a one man's job. And to start off with is, you need to evaluate your business. You need to define what you do. Bottom line, what do you do? Second, define your target audience, right? And now we jump into the technical realm. What is a target audience, right? We talk about target market, target research, market research. We talk about those words, but what is that? It is taking your business and defining it into that particular sector. So suppose you are a yoga studio, you've just recently opened up, and you want to get the word out, right? Now you got to sit and think, okay, well, I'm a yoga studio. I provide 7 different types of yogas, yoga classes, and I want to reach, don't ever set a certain number for yourself, right? Set goals for yourself when defining a target audience. So we have moms, working moms, we have, stay-home moms, dads too. Now, define the gender first. That's a very common one. Women, men, kids, who are you targeting, right? Then let's define an age group. I want to hit between 30 to 40 corporate moms, 9-to-5 moms. And then, now we come to ethnicity. Are we talking about Polish, Mexicans, Hispanics? Are we talking about French, Germans? Who are we targeting? And then break it down even further. The more detailed you get with your target audience, the better search, the better definition you have for your brand. It helps you understand exactly who you are going towards. Number 2, define your goal, right? This is the second big one. And these seem pretty common. And they seem like, okay, yeah, these are business 101. But when it comes to branding, we want to be very clear in our message, right? Define your goal. What do you want to achieve, right? Do you want to rank up the revenue for your business? Is that what you want to achieve? Or are you creating awareness? What goal and what message do you want to communicate with your target audience? And number 3, I'm definitely going to hit on these in future workshops more, and hopefully, define this even further as we go along. But we want to differentiate, collaborate, innovate, validate, and cultivate when it comes to branding. Differentiate, again, we are differentiating ourselves in that same industry your business is in, and how are you doing it a little either better or differently. Second is collaborate. How are you joining forces? And who are you joining forces with? People want to know, people want to get there. Innovate. Now, this is it's kind of like if done correctly, yes, it's great. And this is a double-edged kind of thing. How innovative is your idea? Or is your idea so vast? We don't want to alienate your target audience, right? We don't want to be so off the grid that you're hitting the mark completely and you're missing the big point. So you want to innovate just to that point where you are setting that differentiation for yourself in your field, but you don't want to be so far-fetched. And then validate, right? How are you getting your brand approved? And this is a big one. Again, this comes back to the concept of reliability and trust. So this is a big one too. And cultivating. What kind of relationships are you building with your brand, and how are you connecting again with them? So all of these work together, but they work apart differently as well. And if all goes well, give me a call. and reach out. But jokes apart, if you know, hopefully these steps can help you. And if you have really honestly, if you have any questions, get in touch. I'm definitely here to help. And as branding is, in my opinion, the base for any business to be successful in their in their um, in their industry. And yeah, I'm good.
All right, Fatema, thank you so much. There's a lot of learning. Just for me myself, I had a few light bulb moments in there when you talked about your what is a brand, and then how do you actually go about building a brand. And I think you also said something about in some of your subsequent workshops, you then talk about how do you go about building your brand. But something that was a light bulb moment for me was, who you're joining forces with. And that actually speaks to like your core values and who do you actually support in your tribe. And that is what the feeling that people have about your business is what you're trying to portray then.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't realize this many times that these things that we do, as whether you're service based or consumer, product based industry, that this is really subconsciously done. It is really subconsciously done. And I mean, there's a whole psychology behind branding as well. And it's really fascinating, actually. It's really fascinating how people are actually driven towards those choices. And but the bottom line is how clear is your message within your company and within what you do? Is that message being delivered correctly? So people know exactly what people don't like to be confused. They don't like to be confused.
It's like there's also multiple things over there, right? Like the way I understand it is, to me, it's the message that is being conveyed within the company and the business that has to be very, very clear, and everybody has to be aligned with those core values.
Oh, definitely,
right?
because there's something called internal marketing, which is what you do amongst yourself and your employees. And then there's something called external marketing, is
Right.
how are you perceiving outside as well. It's not only within your company that sometimes we don't even think about the internal marketing, right? कि अपने पास 10 जना बीजा 6 employees 6, but अगर इन लोगों ने नहीं समझ पड़ती क्या internal marketing and their internal marketing is as important as external marketing, right? So if you have your business of 25 and your employees don't know what you stand for and what your business beliefs are, then how are you going to convey your external marketing? How are you going to be successful in that?
Is that something that you would say would be first get your own, and I feel like this is the difference between brand image and brand identity, right? So whatever that is, but get your internal stuff strong and very, very clear first. Would you say that should be very clear first before you go out and send the message outside? Or
now, see, in my opinion, it can be side by side. Some people can disagree with me on this. Some people say, hey, no, you need to know what you are doing first, versus sending that same message outside. I believe, and in my experience, when I was working with Blue Pearl Consulting in Chicago, I was responsible and in charge of the internal marketing. And I created a brand system for the internal marketing called ERPDM. And it's still, after even 8 years, it has stuck to me, the word ERPDM. Why? Because it's a very funny word, right? But bottom line, when we break it down, ERPDM stood for integrity, responsibility, commitment, time management. It stood for the principles that we wanted to focus on as employees of
Right.
Blue Pearl. So creating that brand system, even till this day, I remember what IRCTM means, right? You will never forget a brand system or a brand concept if it's well developed. And things like that really make a difference. So whether you are focusing on yourself first and getting the in-house down, or whether you are trying to you have your in-house, but pushing that message out, external marketing is, you're kind of losing that. You got to take a step back, evaluate, where are you falling short. In-house could be like, are people not understanding what we do and how we stand for it? Are my employees or the people I have surrounded myself with, are they not clear on where I am visioning my company or my service to be at?
Right.
If that's happening, then you need to take a step back and think, okay, now I need some kind of a system, or I need to somehow convey my message to my people in a certain way, right?
Right.
And
Right.
if that's happening, and if you're falling on the external part, right, sure, you need to think about, how do I connect those two things, right? What is the piece that's missing when it comes to that message being delivered, right?
Right.
And I will definitely dive into further more as to what kind of platforms we can think about taking when it comes to external marketing. What are we doing? And we can definitely talk about internal marketing versus external marketing, and break it down, what two things you can do separately, right?
Yep.
And where, as far as communicating outside to an outside audience, what kind of areas you can hit, and how frequently should you hit. That's also very important too. You don't want to bug people where they
Right.
just block you. That's not the goal. They need to interact with you. So
Yeah.
those are two big ones.
That's really good. Like, really, really interesting. A lot of information, and for all the other people who have joined in, I hope we've all gotten a lot of information and a lot of tidbits from here. All of these recordings are going to be stored in our digital marketing community, and you can go back and revisit all of her workshops, all of her videos, and as she keeps making more and more of them, you can go through the whole kind of timeline of how we've gotten where we are at. So thank you again, everybody, for joining in. We're going to start signing off now. And if you have any questions,
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you, Fatima. If the others, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the community then. Thank you.
Yes, definitely.